人が集まること、集合すること。英語で表すと Gather どうですかね。今回 Gather という動詞に関していろいろと話していきますね。ところでこの動画の投稿時間がいつも土曜日の8時ということで、8時だよ、全員集合これからこういう挨拶にしようかな。 Gather はですね、ニュアンス的な部分があります。なんていうのかな、使ってもいい時とあんまり使わない方がいい時があるので、それはぜひ皆さんに伝えたいなと思ってます。自分の失敗したエピソードを思い出すね。20年前ぐらいだったかな。日本人の友達の家に遊びに行って Let's share pizza と言いたかった。でもその時は share という言葉は分かんなくて、そしたら辞書で調べて share、 これね。そしたらね、ピザを共有しましょうと言ってそしたらシーンとなって、はみたいな感じで今でも覚えてます。だって辞書に書いてあったんだもんそういうちょっとした失敗で言語を学んでいきますね。もちろんその正しい日本語を教えてもらいました。人生はそういう何でもそうですよね。失敗から学ぶことが頭に一番残りますね。So let's get cooking with the 4 logical steps. We'll look at the problem, the reason, the solution, and some examples. So allow me to share my thoughts on the best way to use Gather. First, let's look at the problem. We gathered in the lobby. We gathered in the lobby. It's a good sentence. In fact, it's a lovely sentence. Probably a little bit too lovely. People do use the word gather, meaning for a group of people to congregate in one place. But here's the thing. There are times when it just sounds out of place. I love this hotel. Yeah, it's got a great vibe to it. Are we all having breakfast together tomorrow? As far as I know, that's the plan. What time are we gathering? Gathering? Are you like Dumbledore or something? What do you mean? I'm just messing with you. We're gathering at 7:45. So I don't know if you picked up on the rather sarcastic comment about Dumbledore in Harry Potter, but that's probably what a lot of people would think. In this case, it would probably be better to use a different expression. How come? Let's investigate. Gather is kind of a formal verb, but it really depends on the situation. It's often used in an objective way, meaning we use it to talk about other people and not usually about ourselves. It's difficult to explain what I mean, but we often use it for like a crowd of strangers, and I feel we don't include ourselves in that group. Let's say a famous actor was coming to an event at a local shopping center. We would say, a crowd started to gather in front of the stage. Hundreds of fans gathered to see the movie star. It was maybe used for ourselves in more classical English, but in modern times, we hardly ever use it for ourselves. If you said, "What time shall we gather?" We gathered in front of the restaurant. Let's gather at 6 p.m. It all sounds funny, but if you used it for a group of people that you are not a part of, it somehow seems more feasible. How about insects and animals? We often use gather for them. The animals gathered at the watering hole. A swarm of bees started to gather around me. Starlings tend to gather in great numbers. We also use gather when we talk about bringing together a lot of kind of smaller individual objects. Things like these. Gather your hair together in a ponytail. She gathered up her wedding dress before she got into the car. gather up all the Lego blocks and put them away. We don't use it for people in that way, like to gather people for a party or to gather candidates for like a job interview or to gather volunteers for a charity event. No. In that case, we would just use get or perhaps even recruit. Another situation where we quite often hear gather is if you're a tour guide, a sports coach, or a kindergarten teacher. When we want everyone to come close to listen to some kind of instructions, we sometimes say, gather round everyone. It sounds kind of old-fashioned and friendly for some reason. A cooler and more modern way of saying it would be, bring it in, or huddle up. Anywho, focusing back on the sentence, we gathered in the lobby, there are much more natural ways to say it, and I'll be talking about them next. Let's get on to the meat and potatoes, the language that you should use instead of gather. The first one is super simple. Just use meet or meet up. If you look in the dictionary, you're going to find loads of words that we don't use all that much in daily conversation. Collect, assemble, congregate. My advice, don't use them. Just use meet or meet up. For daily conversation, it's best just to keep things simple. No need to get fancy. We met up in the lobby. What time are we meeting for breakfast? Everyone is meeting up in the parking area before the game. Now, another way to say it is get together. This sounds a little more casual and altogether more friendly. This can be used in two ways, to meet for a short time or to meet for a long time, like at a party. It can be used as a verb, as in, let's get together. It can also be used as a noun, as in, let's have a get together. Take note of the hyphen. When we use it as a noun, it sounds like you're spending time with people at kind of like a get together, like almost like a little party. But when you're using it as a verb, it just has a very basic meaning, the same as meet. Some of us are getting together after work. We always get together at Christmas. Some people can't stand get-togethers. Talking of nouns, how about the word gathering? It has kind of a funny ring to it, kind of quaint and traditional. It's mostly used for things like a family gathering. But I personally don't use it all that much. So plenty of vocabulary and idioms in the next section. Follow me! At our class reunion every year, we usually get together and catch up on each other's lives. When you catch up on each other's lives, you talk about what's new with each other. Of course, a class reunion is a party you have with your old school buddies. What time is everyone meeting tonight? 6 on the dot. Don't be late this time. So 6 on the dot means exactly at 6 o'clock. Use this for friends who are always going to be late. We're leaving at 6 on the dot. If you're not ready, we're leaving without you. A crowd had gathered around the busker and they all wondered why he hadn't hit the big time. So a busker is in British English a street musician. When you hit the big time, it means you get your big chance, your big break, and you become famous. Somebody who I've got my eye on right now is a guy called Ren. And he is a Welsh singer, songwriter and rapper, and he is really talented. If you like that kind of thing, please check out the link, which I'll leave down in the description. He is the next big thing, in my opinion. Do you have a big family get-together at Christmas and New Year? Let me know down in the comments. It's really interesting to hear how different people celebrate these special times of the year.